All right, I'm in here in my shop and found this Sears Silvertone a few weeks ago at a flea market, and that's all I know about it. It's a 10 transistor Sears Silvertone, and so in the honor of Sears closure, let me get this camera focusing on this. They are tracking with it. In honor of Sears closure, I thought I would do a restoration video on this particular rig, and it's an AM/FM radio, 10 transistor, of course, battery powered. It has a battery pack back here, or uses mercury or alkaline cells. 6, I believe, just guessing on the size. We'll look in a minute. It has an external antenna, whip antenna, and I'm assuming earphone and external power here. So what we're going to do is we're going to discover this radio together. Again, let me get this focused on the rig, and we'll just go through it. A couple of quick things here. I hope this will focus for you. There's a select switch and a tone switch. However, the select switch picks the band AM, FM, and FM AFC, and then the power switch here is in the off position, switches up to music, or voice and music. So that's the power switch, kind of peculiar, and then tuning. And then all the way over here is the volume. And there's no power switch in this volume. The power switch, of course, is found right here on the tone selector. So that's a little unusual. I've not seen that in these radios. So this is a 10 transistor, and we'll just see how it looks. There, as I said, there's no model number that I can discover. This is just a FCC radiation sticker seal certification. And you can see the back of the radio, no numbers of any kind. A nice leatherette handle. So let's get started. All right, I think the first thing we'll try to do is discern what voltage this thing is. Pull these screws out of the back. They're just already loose. Oh yeah, and it's got quite a bit of corrosion. There's a piece of paper flopping around in there. I don't know if you can see it in the light. Yeah, there it is right there, little sticker. So we may pull the cover off and take a look and see. But you can see some of the corrosion in there. Maybe. And there's the battery configuration label. So, and sure enough, 6 AA cells, either Silvertone penlight cells or Silvertone mercury cells. And if you recall from one of my previous videos, the difference between those is that the penlight cells, or the regular AA's, the positive side has the tip on the battery, but in mercury cells the negative side has the tip. So anyway, I don't know that I have ever seen or held a mercury cell 1.5 volt. So 6 times 1.5 would be 9 volts. So that, I think, is safe to assume that this connector here is a 9 volt power supply. What we'll do, since we don't know, and I'm not going to try to power this with batteries today because there's some cleanup that needs to be done, but I'm going to try to power this with an external power supply. What we'll do is we'll assume that it's 6 volts, or excuse me, 9 volts, and we will figure out the polarity by doing a continuity check here on the terminals and to the little connector. Because in the older days, back in the 50s and 60s, these power supply connectors, like these right here, these barrel plugs, the standard today is typically center pin is positive and the barrel, outside barrel, is negative. But that wasn't always the case. And so we don't want to blow this thing up if there's no reverse polarity protection built into the radio with a diode. So what we'll do is we'll confirm the polarity by checking continuity on the negative side here and try to find the negative sign on the negative side on the power supply. So let me get my meter out here and we'll do some checking. All right, so what we're going to do is we're going to take one lead of the continuity and we're going to put it on the negative or the positive pin, we don't know which is which, on this barrel plug here, and we're going to connect the other lead to one of the battery terminals inside the radio. The spring side is typically the negative side on battery sets, and the flat pin, of course, is for the positive. So that's what we're going to assume in this case, and we know it to be true because of the battery format, the layout here shown on the little chart. So let's put the meter on tone, and I don't know that you can hear this on the camera. All right, we got continuity there. And what we'll do is put one lead on the negative side, and we'll probe the top of the thing here and try to determine where negative is. Okay, so that's the barrel, not the internal pin. The internal pin, there's no continuity, and when I click the external barrel side of the connector, I get continuity. And again, I don't know if you can hear it on the meter up here, but so that would mean that it's a center pin positive barrel plug, and we need to find a 9 volt. So let's get this off to the side here, and let's see, we've got a 9 volt somewhere here. Got a bunch of these. There's 12 volt, 15 volt, 5 volt, oh, reverse polarity. As I was saying, some of the older radios reversed polarity, and so in this radio, on this power supply, I flipped the polarity, as you can see, and then put heat shrink on it, and then marked it on the supply reverse polarity. So anyway, that's not what we need. We need a 9 volt positive, and there we go. 9 volt DC, 100 milliamp. Can't do a lot of damage with that. So let's see what we get here. All right, trying to keep this camera. I'm looking down here at the camera view of the Osmo Pocket camera, and it's got a tracking function. So if I highlight an object like I'm doing now, it will track the object, which is a nice function. There we go. So when I move the radio around, it tracks with the radio, but sometimes it turns off, so I have to keep an eye on that. All right, so let's just see. We'll plug this in. Plug it into the power. Turn this baby off. It is off. All right. Now we're going to set the tracking up again. Okay. And let's see what we get. I have no idea what we're going to have here. Got it set on voice. I can hear a little hum, but no audio. Just Just a slightest hum. Let's go to FM. Oh, okay. I'm going to have to keep moving the, I don't want YouTube to kick out the music, so we're going to try and see what we can find here. So obviously the controls need sprayed with deoxit, and so that's FM. Let's see if we can get AM here. Oh yeah, there's AM. It's pretty bad. Connections are pretty bad. AM. So AM works. And great sound, huh?
For him, and you getting in the way, and you just water down.
Okay, now I really have to admit that this blows me away. If you'll remember some of my previous videos, I mentioned about the AM radios and how poor reception I get in the house, here in the shop especially, without any kind of external antenna. And the AM radio antenna would be a bar, ferrite bar with windings on it inside the radio, and then this would be the FM whip. So with just holding it here in the shop, I'm just shocked at the sensitivity. Now you can hear all the interference here in the shop. Okay, so we've got AM and FM. Let's go back to FM, see if that's cleaning up any better. Yeah, definitely needs some cleaning up. So without boring you with all tuning through all the dials here, what I'll do is I'll pull the cover off, and we'll spray some deoxit on the controls, the volume control and the two switches here, and we'll see if that improves the situation. So I'll be right back. I'm going to pull the cover off, back the radio. Oh, great. It's got the model numbers and everything on this sticker that was mounted inside the thing here. So let me show you the sticker. And we'll try to, I'll do a little bit of focusing here. So what do we have? Model number 6217 black. Silvertone, sold only by Sears and Roebuck, 9 volts DC. So that's great. I'm glad we got a sticker. And the power supply is soldered in, so I can't separate these without using the soldering gun. Let's take a look at the soldering iron. Let's take a look at this a little closer. You see discrete components. And by the way, yeah, these look, this may not be original, this cap, but there's a lot of debate about whether these electrolytic capacitors work after having set for so many years. And I guess it's possible. I've had mixed experience. I've had some problems with some electronics. For example, I'm working on a couple of old little bitty walkie-talkies right here. I'm dumping parts all over the place. Little walkie-talkies here, and I've had to replace all of the caps in these. And those are 9-volt walkie-talkies. So sometimes you do, sometimes you don't. And obviously this played very well without any need of replacing capacitors. So I'm going to spray these switches right here and here, and that should help our work those switches back and forth. Spray them a little more with this miracle product by Keg, an unsolicited advertisement of Deoxit D5. It really does the job, and I don't think I can get to the volume control. Might be able to. I'll spray over in that direction, and we'll try to get some in the volume control and work that a little bit. Sorry about the focus. There we go. That should work pretty good. So we'll work these controls, the switches, up and down, up and down. And there's the ferrite core antenna I was talking about for the AM radio. And the FM uses, of course, uses this external whip, which is in great shape. It's incomplete. The tip is not broken off, which a lot of radios, as you know, these tips get broken off. So didn't even need to extend it and had pretty good signal. So let me use some spray here. Get rid of some of this dust. Okay. Now, just for fun, while I've got this in my hand, if I can do this with one hand, with holding this thing with my finger, let's hook the power back up. All right, that definitely worked for the volume control. And what band are we on here? Let's go to FM. There's FM, and now we'll try to tune it.
I will say I've tried it many more than one time. Because it's
good sound for a little bitty speaker. And again, I don't have the antenna pulled out. If I pulled the obviously if I pulled the antenna out, I'd get much better signal. I guess we could pull it out a little bit. We'll just see if that helps. Okay, obviously I'm not going to work all the way up and down the bands. Working pretty good, very sensitive, and I'm encouraged by that. And what I'll do is put this cover back on, and we'll talk a little bit more and wrap this video up. The handle, leatherette handle, is in beautiful condition, and it is leather. You can tell from the material on the end there. It is leather, and there doesn't appear to be any cracks in it or anything, and it just slips right up inside the top just like that. I'll save this sticker and put that in later. But for now, just for the sake of time and your patience in watching, we're going to put the screw back in here, and let's put the cover back on just so I don't lose these screws. And we'll fire it up, see if it acts a little better now that we put some deoxit in the controls. Volume. Okay, we're on FM. I'm going to turn this volume down and work these switches a little more. Okay, AM. Obviously we're picking up all of this. Let's just see if I can identify. That's not it. That's not it. That's not it. It could be the power supply we're plugging into. And it might be the camera. Might be you. Alright. Well, in any case, we'll just tune out of there and move along.
Will you pray for each other, alone and together?
Okay.
Will you talk with each
And the volume of the EQ says voice or music actually does seem to work. Let's see. Let's listen.
authority when making decisions? Will you listen courteously to each other with an open, non-judgmental mind? Will you share appropriate information?
Yeah, it definitely does make a difference, and so that's working. All of they put a cap in there that pulls the bottom end off and improves the voice intelligibility.
Persons.
Yeah, all of this. So that's AM. Let's go to FM. Should have a lot less noise. Well, there you have it. A little Sears Silvertone model 6217. And this is a great little radio. It'll clean up, I'm sure, clean up nicely. It's really in very good shape. $5 at a flea antique store. You can't go wrong with that. Great little radio to set in the office or next to your easy chair and be able to listen to AM FM. I appreciate your support with the YouTube channel, and if you have any questions, don't hesitate to put them in the comments. But in any case, thanks for watching.